Hello, goddesses. Zena here, and I tried. I tried to do a live 2 times. One time the sound quality was just really bad. Second time, 5G. I don't know if any of you've noticed this, but 5G is like horrible. I have the worst internet connection when I am out and about than I ever did with this new move to 5G. And I don't know if it's because it's AT&T or what, but anyway, I am now doing a video that I will have to probably post on YouTube and then hopefully post it into the group page. But let's see if I can go through this a third time for you. So on Tuesday, we talked about metabolism and the biggest contributors to the metabolism. So in review, BMR, biggest contributor to your metabolism. 60 to 75% of your calories burned in a day are burned just to keep you alive. If you did nothing but lay in bed all day, your BMR is the biggest contributor. So we talked about that being like the bottom of the pyramid. And then next was your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, your NEAT, which is all the little activity that you do throughout the day. Standing in the kitchen, washing your dishes, going up and down your stairs, doing laundry, vacuuming your house, taking the dog on a walk, going on a walk, walking from the furthest part of the part in the parking lot to the entry of the grocery store and walking around the grocery store. All of those activities that you do throughout the day that are not gym related, that are not cardio related, that is your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And I put walking into that category. The next is just the thermogenesis it takes to digest your food, right? So 10% of our metabolism is devoted to just eating and digesting. And then the very tippy top, the thing that has the least actual effect on our metabolism is exercise, cardio. The time that we spend doing HIIT class, the time that we spend doing spin class, the time that we spend going running, okay? That actually has an effect, but it's very small comparatively speaking. So as many of you know, one of the things that I've been doing is I've been in a growth phase. I've been in a refeed phase to upregulate my metabolism so that my BMR is higher. And you get your BMR higher by having more lean body mass. Well, when you're going through a reverse diet and when you're going through sort of a refeed to upregulate your metabolism and you're trying to put on mass, with that sometimes comes a little bit of body fat because the calories are coming up and you're starting to have maybe some more calories than you're actually burning yet, and if your metabolism hasn't all the way upregulated yet, especially if you're trying to put on mass. And so the challenge for me has been, psychologically, for me, I find reverse dieting to be much more challenging than being in a caloric deficit because, whether you've had a history with eating disorders, whether you've just the stigma that we put on body fat here, especially for women, the stigma that comes with having extra body fat, all of that, or seeing the number on the scale go up, all of that can be really challenging to us mentally, right? So this has been a great opportunity to work through that challenge. And so that's been part of my process. And that has been my attempt to raise my BMR. Now that I'm coming out of that building period and going back into a cut before summer, I'm starting now to gracefully enter in, but the official start date is, I believe, next Sunday. It's 100 days until summer. And so I am going to be recording everything that I'm going to be doing for the next 100 days as we get to summer, as a means of helping educate people on how muscle building happens, how fat loss occurs, and things that we can do to be sustainable in that process. And consistency, what consistency looks like, what sustainability looks like through that process. So the first place I am going to, since now I've done tried to increase my muscle mass, to increase my BMR. As I go into my cut, I don't want to yet decrease my calories. I want another week of staying at the calories that I've been at. And so I'm going to be able to start to elicit that deficit through another way. So right now my BMR is a little higher, hopefully, from the lean muscle mass that I've put on, as well as now I'm increasing my NEAT by putting my daily walks back into my program. So daily walking 3 or 4 miles, that's a 300 or 400 calorie burn that I was not getting when I wasn't walking every day. So I'm upping the NEAT So upping muscle mass, upping my NEAT by walking more. And then, remember we talked about 10% is just, the thermogenesis of eating and digesting. And out of the macronutrients, protein, carbohydrates, and fats, it takes the most energy to digest protein. And we need protein to retain the muscle mass for our BMR. So I'll be increasing my protein slightly, and I'll be increasing that little tiny portion at the top of exercise. I'm only increasing that a little bit. So I'm increasing that by putting in 2 cardio sessions a week of interval cardio. It's a 4x3. It's 4 minutes of intensity with 3 minutes of active rest. So I'm not stopping. What that looks like for me is I set the treadmill on an incline of about 10, 11, 12, and I walk that at a really decent pace for 4 minutes. And believe me, at the end of the 4 minutes, I am really ready to turn the incline down. And so then I turn the incline down to like 1.52, and I walk a little bit slower till I catch my breath. For 3 minutes, I'm there. Then I bump it back up to 4 minutes, and I do that round 4 or 5 times right now. That will change as I continue on. I'll be getting less, as I'm conditioning my heart and conditioning my cardio, I'll be getting less rest between the intensities, but I'll be showing you that because I'll be taking you through everything I'm doing for that 100 days. So that's how I'm increasing right now, starting and creating a calorie deficit without having to actually eat less. So the point, when we're talking about the muscle building and putting on lean body mass, we want to do that and knowing that some fat gain is going to happen in that process, but we want to do that with as little fat gain as possible, right? We want to put on as much muscle with as little fat as possible. When we go into a deficit, we want to have fat loss while still being able to eat as much as possible, right? So as we go through, this is the first place that I'm starting to elicit the deficit. I keep doing my strength training to keep my lean body mass. I'm upping my NEAT, I'm upping my protein, I'm upping my cardio. As we go on for a few more weeks, I will probably be starting to drop my calories a little bit, only as much as is necessary to elicit that fat loss response. If the fat loss response is there, until there's a plateau, until it's not working anymore, I'm going to be able to stay there. We don't want to drop anymore unless we have to, right? Because as you know, the metabolism is going to downregulate. It's going to downregulate for 2 reasons. As I become smaller with the fat loss, I don't need as many calories. And as I'm eating less calories, my body will adjust. So we want to keep that downregulation process as mitigated as possible by not doing any sort of drastic cuts. I'm not doing cardio 5-6 days a week. I'm not cutting my calories by 1,000, that's going to create a metabolic adaptation we don't want to have. So I'm walking you guys through this. Point being to try to really educate people on how this happens, because what do a lot of people do? They drastically cut calories and they drastically increase cardio, and they don't do weight training, and they don't end up ultimately getting to their goal because they've created a situation in which they're working really hard, but the body is making a lot of compensations that's working against them. So that's what we're going to be doing for the next 100 days. I'll be coming up with a challenge for all of you to actively participate in for that 100 days if you wish. But that's what will be going on in the group. I'll be sharing my workouts. I'll be sharing my recipes. I'll be sharing my mental state as I go through. What I won't be sharing are my calories and my macros, because that's all individual, and it's a mistake to take on someone else's caloric range or macro nutrient range as something that'll be working for you. So I don't want to create a situation people want to do exactly what I'm doing calorie or macronutrient wise, because that is something that needs to be worked out for you individually. But as a general whole, you can see what I'm doing, how I'm meeting those needs, and I think it will be really, really helpful and really, really informative to those of you who are on a fitness fat loss journey. All right, hopefully this worked, and I'll be able to post this for you.